You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru attı. Kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol. Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Roma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody. The Black Eagles podcast is returning yet again with episode 232. I'm, of course, Sinan Kaan, live from New York City. The summer is upon us, which means everything that it usually does for us Beşiktaş fans. Lots of fun transfer rumors. The season's over. In this case, that's a good thing. And so I listed this last episode as the season review part 1. And that was very intentional because I thought it was super important that we get the final word, part 2 of our senior like a senior year. No, of our season review with the one and only, the prodigal co-host, if you will, Bayazit, everybody!
Hey! The OG team reunited.
That's right. And we got...
And it feels so good.
Your theme song is back, finally. It's been on a hiatus. I intentionally, save it so that it, has that meaning.
Good. I totally, I was gonna say I'd file a copyright complaint, but you made it, so I can't even do that.
No, but I'm still, that's the code of the podcast, man. That's your entrance music. You can't take that from someone. That's wrong. It's a human rights violation. All right.
I wonder if there's anyone who listens to the podcast who's picked up on what the melody is originally from.
Operation is in effect.
We're not gonna say it obviously, but I wonder if people know.
We have a couple Belgian followers. I can tell from our stats. More than a couple, a few, a handful even. So someone
maybe.
should, at the very least,
I don't know. I think it's still a little obscure, but you never know.
Is it just in Belgium or was it European wide?
No, it was definitely a Belgian movie in the 80s.
Ooh, you're giving spoilers. Whoa, you're getting close here.
Yeah.
That should be a trivia. If anyone guesses that, we should get them a jersey. That should be.
I mean, if they can find that.
Only one though. First come, first serve.
That definitely deserves something. Yeah.
But so it's great to have Kaan back. Finally.
Thank you for having me back.
I feel like maybe this season was cursed because we didn't have you on much.
I don't think it had anything
that's
to do
not
with
a
me,
good,
but,
yeah. I mean, what that is a good intro to it. We'll probably have to talk about first, of course, which is reviewing this 2021, 2022 season. 2 years for humanity to forget. Much of it was spent locked in our homes, fearing for our lives with a pandemic hanging over our heads. Just a terrible year all around. So it's fair enough. We should all just forget it. Strike that one from the record. Throw that in the garbage. But real quickly before we do that, do you have any parting thoughts on the season, Kaan? I know you've heard our last couple episodes, with Aaron last week.
Yeah.
And so I'm so curious to hear what your thoughts are.
Found myself agreeing a lot with Aaron, actually. There's one thing I did notice that you guys didn't really talk about, and when you guys were talking about this graphic that was put out, with the points won and lost because of refereeal mistakes and stuff like that. Of course, stuff like that is put out largely to stir up the pot a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you even look at it, it wasn't even put out by a Beşiktaş account. I think it was it was a
stat account, right?
Yeah, something like that. And like the difference, like every team had like, you know, the amount of 1 points versus lost points was kind of balanced, and then you had Beşiktaş with like 17 lost and 4 won or something, so minus 13.
No, I actually calculated it out and I like added and took away the things like based on that, and we would have ended in second. We would have had a second.
Yeah,
finish.
but the most important part, which I find that football fans and just in general gets overlooked a lot in football, is the mental aspect of the game and the impact that referee mistakes, and you know, it's just when you start dropping points left and right, whether it's, you know, you guys mentioned it that the Demirspor match.
I thought you would agree with us on that. I really did.
Yeah, it definitely was, because it was a breaking point mentally for the team. You could see it that something in the team after that snapped. Like, I don't know what it was. Definitely something for Sergen, where he probably kind of checked out at that point. And a big part of the team definitely had a moment where it was like, well, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something like, well, it doesn't matter what we do. They're gonna, you know, if they want us to lose points, we'll lose points or whatever. Whether that's justified or not, that you cannot deny that it has a profound impact on the mental state of the team.
It was like a Murphy's Law thing, right? Because like with the injuries and with like, you know, all the new guys who like never really got the chance to come in and play together, and like, and then on top of it, so you're like trying to overcome all these hurdles, and like frankly, let's be real. Also, all of the teams that used to be walkovers, like the rest of the league has improved, while us bigger teams have failed because of financial debt and mismanagement. So like, with all of these things considered, on top of it, you have these referees, just like you said, just consistently, right? Like at some point, there's the feather on the camel's back, right? Like I'm fully with you on that.
And it's also, I remember very vividly that I think I even said it at some point, but I'm thinking at least. But also, I'm sure I said in one of our group chats that I don't understand. We're missing like 10 players to injury. And still, and we were at that point like 8 or so points behind Trabzonspor or something like. I think it was the match against Trabzonspor that kind of did it for me, because we were already kind of out of the race. But okay, if we beat them at home, it would have been like, okay, we're like, you know, they're not running away too far. We keep them in our sights. It was 1-1, and then there was this position which was a clear stonewall penalty on Rashid Ghezal. Even our mutual friend Jakub, I remember him tweeting at the time when it happened, that should have been a penalty for Beşiktaş. Yeah. And of course, you know, at the end of the match, in added time, they win it. They kind of steal it. We were protesting for a penalty in the box for a foul, and then they counter and they score. I don't think that was a penalty, but certainly around the 77th minute, Rashid Ghezal was brought down in the box. Was always a penalty, 100%. With VAR being a thing, it's unforgivable that something like that doesn't get reviewed and that the penalty doesn't get given there. That was also an important point for our season. If we beat Trabzonspor there, because Trabzonspor was at that point already dominantly ahead of the competition at the top of the table, beating a team that's doing really well is also a good mental boost. So there were definitely moments, you know, after the Adana Demirspor match where we could have turned the season around with a confidence booster. The Trabzonspor match was definitely a big moment there, where we, I think, deserved it, because I mean, you know, it was 1-1. I think we went down 1-0 in the game. I don't remember exactly, but I think we went down a goal. We made it. We pulled it level, and then we should have had a penalty, and that could have been a turning point in the season, but. That's one of those things where I think it creeps into players' minds when you have that Demirspor match where you're 3-0 ahead. They come back to 2-3 through a free kick. You know, that can happen.
But that was also illegitimate. I don't know if you recall.
Yeah, the free kick might have been, but I don't remember exactly. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, at 3-0, you shouldn't be giving it away.
What it was there should have been. It was the offsides that they had just the week prior disqualified a goal for us because there was like a guy who was not in front of the path of the goal. I remember it was like Montero, I think, right? And then the following week against Trabzon, they gave them that goal, and the dude was literally standing in front. Like it
was in Hatay where we were losing 1-0, and Mehmet Topal of all people scored a back heel goal.
That's right.
And the goal got disallowed from Montero being in the path of the shot, which he wasn't. And it's just been those types of things throughout the season. So we had that. Then we had the Trabzon match. We had the Adana Demirspor match with that third goal that should never with VAR never ever should have stood. That is so easy to disallow, but the of a refs, pardon my French, just blew the whistle so that VAR couldn't even do it. I don't know if VAR would have done anything, but that Ali Palabiyuk just blew his whistle. Yeah. So that even if they were talking to him in his ear, as soon as he blows that whistle, it's over.
Yeah.
And
just one last, I want to mention because we're kind of in the I should have I want the X-Files music for conspiracy session. But here's my but my thought here. What I wanted to add was all season long people were like, "Oh, this is like the Erdogan year, right? It's his last year. He wants his team to win." And I was like, "Come on." And the main reason I thought that was absolutely a lie was because it was like his last year. Yeah, right. We always say that. Everyone says that.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to discredit Trabzon's title. I think Trabzonspor at the end of the day, they had a very weak ending to the season, contrary to Abdullah Avci's post-season speech where he kind of, puffed out his chest and was like, "Oh, we ended the season comfortably." I'm sorry, dude. You had 7 games, you won 1.
Yo, Fener fans, their heart was actually broken. Remember, with 3 or 4 weeks left because of a result.
It was the perfect ending because you gave them hope, and then you still that was good. But no, Trabzonspor definitely did not end strongly. I mean, they also lost out in the semifinals of the Cup to Kayserispor. Trabzonspor definitely towards the end of the season unraveled a little bit, but not to the extreme extent where they were just on a complete downslide losing games. But 1 win in 7 is not impressive at all. But at the end of the day, they did have a good season, and I do think they are deserved champions. But of course, like I said, with all of that happening, what if we would have beaten them at home? Could we maybe have turned the season around a little bit?
One more asterisk, by the way. I just want to add. I think you almost undersold that loss to Kayseri and not winning the double. Right, this was their big magical season. You know what I'm saying? You look that in history that'll go down as a serious L. I think because this truly was supposed to be that this tide that would show that this is a force to be reckoned with, and really they kind of petered out to such an extent.
Let's be honest. Unfortunately, in Turkey, the Turkish Cup doesn't get taken too serious by the fandom and all that, which I think is a shame because I always think that
I enjoy it.
I think
it's more. I would. My counter to you though is, it's not considered such a great feat for the most part until you have a side that's winning the title and it's their chance to claim the double, which is I think that's always it's exclamation point. You know what I mean for a title, and it's almost. I don't want to say it's rare. I bet it's happened quite a bit, frankly, with the.
Well, actually, I mean, if you think about it, Galatasaray and Beşiktaş have pulled it off a few times.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think if you go back, apart from Beşiktaş and Galatasaray, I don't think you have a single team that's done it in 40 years.
I know Fener
because if you look back, Fener has won the cup once in 38 years or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Trabzon has won one title in that same amount of time.
Exactly. So it's only Beşiktaş and Galatasaray who've done the double a few times.
Carrying the weight, man. Oh,
it's definitely no small feat. But to circle back and to complete full circle, what I was saying is, that the mental impact on the team has been that you cannot underestimate the points lost because of that as well. So you have those, referee mistakes in, the Trabzon game, in the Hatay game, in the Adana Demirspor game, and we'll call them mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. We'll not go into the X-Files realm. We'll call them mistakes. But all these mistakes stacked up in a very short amount of time. And that was all in the first, 12, 13 games of the season. And it was all in rapid, quick succession. Because you and Aaron mentioned that we actually started off the season well and impressive with good football. And then, of course, around the time that the Champions League started, we started getting a lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. But also around that time, we had that Adana Demirspor match. So the injuries, of course, had a big impact. But also the mistakes by the refs cost us a lot of points. And also it caused a domino effect where the mental state of the team also deteriorated. And because of that, we also dropped a lot of points on top of it. So our season kind of spiraled out of control there. And that's why, when you guys said that the Demirspor match was definitely the turning point, it certainly was. And not just because of the injuries, not just because of the referee mistakes, but most importantly, the mental deterioration of the team. And that is something that is very difficult to come back from. And that's also why I think Sergen, because people said, well, Sergen, he shouldn't have continued, he lost his passion, blah, blah, blah. I think Sergen still started the season motivated to do well in the Champions League, to defend the title and all that. But at a certain point, I think a coach knows when when the train is so derailed that it's impossible for you to get it back on track, and you need a shock effect to change anything. I'm sorry for the background noise, by the way. I'm living currently in an industrial area, so you might hear some machines in the background.
Honestly, I fully agree, and I think we talked about the feather on the camel's back. I mean, it's really like a Murphy's Law thing, right? There's anything that can go wrong will.
Yeah.
I said this last week, but this is the one fact that needs to be underscored the most. When we were down 14 men. 9 starters at this, that's like a curse. That's like a Disney movie level curse.
I saw an Ajax fan the other day, when it was a Moroccan Ajax fan that was talking about Beşiktaş because of how bad we played against Ajax supposedly. And I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I said, dude, do some research. We missed 10 players or something against you guys. Shut up. Yes. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And still, if you remember, we lost 2-0 in Ajax, right? And we and we got a completely legitimate goal disallowed and stuff like that against our B team. So don't talk
B/C. I think,
be a little, yeah, exactly. B/C. Kenan was our striker, for heaven's sake.
Exactly. I think we had Berkay Vardar coming in, right? That was a tough stretch, man. That was a really.
It was. We all had such high hopes for this season, and especially the Champions League campaign. We put together such, on paper, like Aaron said, such a good team, and then it was a big disappointment, of course. But the worst thing to me of all was, even when it was clear that our season was over, we were not going to play a role in the championship race anymore, the referee mistakes, I will keep calling it, that they kept compounding. And that's where I thought to myself, and I think I said this, and this is what I was going to say earlier, but I but I went on a tangent again. But why are they kicking us while we're down? What is the point? At the end of the season now, we have this bracket of points lost, points won by the referees, right? And we have minus 17 points lost. And it's why? What's the point? What are you gaining by doing this? Is there a reason?
I'm guessing money. Someone has to be paying for that.
You know, is somebody putting a lot of money on Beşiktaş losing or something? Like maybe we should be checking the Asian gambling market.
It's the Al Rayyan, dude. The Al Rayyan conspiracy. The guys who keeps taking our players. They were like the guy who stole Abubakar, like, and tried to ruin our season. They're back.
I don't know. Yeah.
Al Nassr. Sorry, Al Nassr.
Or Al Nassr, right? Well, I mean,
because remember, they have blue and yellow are their team colors, and supposedly, like, their owner tweeted, like, this was a big conspiracy that, like, their owner tweeted out like a pro Fener tweet at some point. And so it's
I'll give you my new big conspiracy now. Akun just bought Hull City with Ali Koç's money or something, so that they can now buy all the trash from Fenerbahce.
Oh my god!
Look, they're paying 5 million euros for
Ozan Tufan, which is after he flapped already for a lesser team.
Come on, 5 million for Ozan. You could get like they Fener would have to pay them him so they get rid of his wages because he earns like 2 million a year. Like they should be paying them for taking him. And they're paying almost 5 million euros. And I'm not gonna say anything about Al Hayr because I think that's somebody that Fenerbahce should have gotten back and gotten something out of because he did really well in Ukraine. But I really don't understand this. Like, why is Akun paying almost 5 million euros for Ozan Tufan? And we all know what Ozan Tufan is capable of, but we also know how
theoretically, like on a good day.
Yeah, we also know how useless and how lazy he is, and he showed that last season in England where they sent him back. They terminated his loan because of how fat and useless he is. And now you're gonna tell me that Hull City is paying 5 million euros for that useless piece? Come on,
no
man.
Way.
Get
no
the
way.
fuck out of here. This is Tashkiran on steroids. Alright, but enough with conspiracy theories. But if you want to go down that rabbit hole, I'll go down that rabbit hole.
Well, and so I didn't even cap it up. So I was like, there's no way, because like Erdogan, there's no way he's even actually gone. And like now, it's like, oh wait, this might really be the end. So he did get his favorite team that title just in time. No, I don't know.
Trabzonspor isn't even his favorite team, man. The only thing is that it's a really big
base of his voters or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like they get a lot of votes there, but even there.
Isn't he like from there?
He's from Rize originally. He's born in Rize, but
which is like that region, right? You're either a Rize or a Trabzon fan. It's like a big derby. Yeah,
it's kind of like the Bursa Beşiktaş thing where Rize have a lot of resentment for Trabzonspor and I think Trabzon care a little bit more about Bursa than we do. Bursa are completely irrelevant, of course. Useless pieces that are now in the third division and good riddance.
At least there's like a regional thing for them, right? They're like vying for something. For us, it's like I don't even know how this started. These little
I know how it started.
Jackals. I know, I do too.
They're a bunch of idiots. I mean, are they gonna hate Ankara Gücü now? Because Ankara Gücü got them relegated, bro. They lost. The champions of the second division lost on the last match day, and Bursaspor suddenly relegated. Shall we start with blood feud with them now? Oh, Bursa, you're useless. Like not so much the club. I think the club Bursaspor has done a lot of good things for Turkish football. Like they have a great youth academy. A lot of good talented players have come out of that club over the years. But those fans, man, fucking toxic pieces of shit. And I mean, Turkish fans in general are toxic piece of shit, and it's something you and Aaron talked about last week as well. Like just the hatred that players get. Like you have a striker like Batshuayi this past season. Like he's been our striker. He's been our real only option up front basically the entire season. And
you're sabotaging.
How many times has he gotten booed and stuff like that? Like, are you freaking mental? Like you're paying 3 million euros a year for this guy, regardless of whether he does well or not. Like you have to pay him. And credit to him, like despite the fact that he missed so many chances, but he kept trying, and his morale will probably have sank down his shoes completely. But until the very last moment, he kept working and he kept going for it.
I know.
And this,
can you really blame a dude when he hits the post like 12 times in a season? I mean,
you know,
I feel so bad. I felt so bad for the dude.
He definitely had a Murphy's Law season for him.
Dude,
like,
and he was like, he worked his buns off, man.
He did.
I've been kind of corny,
and you know what? Like so many experts have said this, have come out and said this season that Batshuayi is one of the best strikers in the league, and have like, you know, even like people like Burak Yilmaz have said like he's done well and he's a good player, and he is. He just didn't, you know, it just wasn't a good season for him in the in front of goal. But yeah, like, why do you boo him? Our fans do this like every season. It feels like, even in a good season, it feels like they have the scapegoat that has to get abused. And I agreed with it when it came to Tolga, because Sinan Kaan had an unhealthy obsession with Tolga, and it was time for the fans to send a message to Chenol that okay, enough is enough. So that's the one instance where I personally think that, you know, at a certain point, like, Tolga cost us so much, and at a certain point, Chenol was just turning so much of a blind eye towards it that the fans had to do something and had to, you know, make it clear that they weren't happy with him and that it was time for someone else to take over the role between the sticks. But other than Tolga, how many players have gotten booed by the fandom over the years? Like, even like, look at Kyle Larin, and you all know I'm not a Larin fan, but like, why boo him? Like, what's the point?
It's just not productive, you know. Like, it's
it's not, and that's something the fans need to realize. Okay, you know, you're in the stadium, you're paying for your ticket, you're entitled to out your frustration, but at the end of the day, the thing you're there for is supporting the team, and as long as we've got something to play for, you need to try and be positive and try to get them. Like, it's your job as like, you know, our fans are so proud, like, of our fandom. Like, our fans are the best, we're the greatest, blah blah blah. Well, if you're the greatest fandom, which I don't think we are, then
like, we barely filled the stadium like until the very. Yeah, I don't even know how we managed to do it in the end.
That's I'm gonna leave that in between. That's not neither here or there. But I think, you know, if you want to make the argument that we have some of the best fans in the world, I think fans, like the best fans, support their teams through thick and thin.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of evolved in a spoiled crowd lately, where back when I started supporting Beşiktaş in you know, the late 90s, early 2000s, like our stadium was always full. Winning or losing, and it was more, the mentality seemed different. Like, people were there through thick and thin, and as, you know, football evolved into modern football today, I guess, and our fandom kind of changed a little bit, got, you know, younger people, you know, and they have different expectations. And I've spoken to these people, and when you look at them, like, we have a common acquaintance, you know, that I've mentioned many times. Like, I don't get why you're a Beşiktaş fan. Like, you're a Galatasaray fan. Like,
I know
your mentality is just that of a Galatasaray fan. And I've seen this a lot in younger fans, is they support Beşiktaş, but the only reason they support Beşiktaş probably is because their dad or something supported Beşiktaş, so they inherited that. But all they do is hate on the club because Beşiktaş doesn't have that win across, you know, like, Beşiktaş aren't and will never be a club that will murder almost to be successful. Like, Beşiktaş is, you know, at its core, a team that represents honor and tradition, and not a team that will win in spite of anything, sacrificing its morals and all of that. And Beşiktaş, in principle, if Beşiktaş can't win the right way, they don't want to win. That should be the mentality of the fans, and that's what the club has stood for. But our younger fans don't get that. They just want to win. They only care about winning. They only care about having the best players and winning and being able to take their out of their pants, put them on the table, and say, "Look, I've got the biggest sausage in the f***ing house," and that's not what it's about.
Yeah, and I have to say also, there's another aspect as we talk about like modern football. I think a lot of our fans live in places where there are local clubs that they feel like they're competing with us, and so there's this kind of almost small club mentality where it's like, they see a lot of their friends locally probably default to like a Manchester United or whatever, and like these huge budgets, and so they look up to the moves that like Galatasaray tries to make, because it's these sort of big name, superficial moves which kind of mimic the stuff that they're seeing in that regard, and so it's like they don't know how to be a fan of a club like Beşiktaş. Like we're never gonna be Manchester City or Manchester United or Liverpool. Like we're never gonna have that kind of budget.
Certainly not in this economy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. Like we're never gonna, and even otherwise, right? We're just not gonna ever compete with those clubs.
No.
We could maybe sneak in, some surprising victories in Europe as we've seen in the past. But like, come on, let's just be realistic about the kind of budget we're gonna have and the kind of savviness we need to
Back when I was a kid, I remember we were talking about the potential of Turkish football and that the Turkish clubs could grow out to be competitive in Europe and stuff like that. We were so naive, but I mean, in theory,
it should be possible, but we know about management in Turkey.
It's not even management. It's just
corruption.
Like if the economy was decent and all that, I
don't know, dude. Like look at our height when we thought we were capable of doing anything. Look, we gave the keys to the car to this guy like Demirören, and he literally just drove us over a cliff, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there is a systemic problem, which is like who we trust with the keys.
Yeah, but I think the moment where Beşiktaş then could have transcended into being a more competitive club in Europe was a couple of years ago, but that was right around the time that the economy started tanking.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Politics definitely played a role.
And of course, Orman did a lot of stuff wrong, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter Orman or Ahmet Nurçebi, like anyone, like
it's the mountain, like the Demirören mountain.
You basically need to be a billionaire like Ali Koç to be able to do anything in this economy, and
all these like under the table deals and stuff, right?
And even Ali Koç, look, like, what has he accomplished since he's been president of Fenerbahce? Like, I mean, yeah, he keeps buying lots of players every season, and he keeps spending a shit ton of money, but so far he's got nothing to show for it. And, you can spend as much money as you want, but if your policies are garbage, then you're not gonna achieve anything. Like, if your big brain move is bring in a 32-year-old Mesut Özil who's been over the hill for 4 years, then yeah.
Who was like 2 years that was like withdrawn from the sport. Yeah. It didn't go so well.
No, but maybe they'll get it right this time. Maybe.
We'll see. They've definitely changed their coach despite a successful. Like what I said going into our match against Fener was that they were, and even after, was that we actually had a lot to hang our hats on because we were the better side, and that was the best team in Turkey at that point. They had the best streak going. They had won like 8 in a row or something. Trabzon was faltering. Where they had come. Well, we kind of derailed any hopes they had. Anyway.
But like. At that point, I think their hope was kind of out of the window anyway. But you see this often enough where when you don't really have anything to play for, the pressure's off, and then it's easy to win games. And that's what happened to Fener here. And as soon as they started even getting a little bit close to Trabzonspor, they dropped points. And the same thing happened last season. With Emre Belözoğlu, like everyone was Emre's doing a great job and blah blah blah. But then as soon as they got within striking distance of us, what happens? They shit the bed, and that's what happened now. And that's the thing. Again, coming back to the whole mental aspect of the game. Look, when there's no pressure and your team is doing okay, like the hardest part in football is the mental aspect of the game. Like there's nothing harder. You can be a mediocre team, but if you've got a really good confidence level in the team, then you can do and beat anyone. You can have the best squad, But if your players are all down here with their confidence and they have no conviction, you're not gonna win.
I mean, Konya was a great example. Konyaspor, like, for three quarters of the season, for the first 3 quarters of the season, at some point they were in first, right? Like, early on. Like, they came out and they just, like, earned up a bunch of confidence and you know, credit, right, with their play, and it just, like,
of course,
you know,
it's not
carried
just,
through.
It's not just confidence, it's also coaching, like, all credit to Ilhan Palut. But, like, you know, look at this. That Konya is a great example. Like, they were the only real rivals, like, realistically, for Trabzonspor this season, and they bowed out of the title race at way before the end of the season. But that's normal. But like you said, you know, that's a mediocre team that hits above their weights, exactly. and we had a really good squad and we completely underperformed. Konya had a mediocre squad, overperformed, had their own adversity, of course. And then Fenerbahce's squad this season, I mean, they're not, like, their squad is not that good.
Honestly, it's the worst part about this season is that with how poor Fener and Galatasaray were this year, this should have been our year, you know what I mean? Like, and even if you look in the big picture, Trabzon, right? Like, they had a good squad all in all, but like on paper, we had one of the best squads we've ever seen. I'm still shocked that it went so poorly.
With how they ended their season and with Abdullah Avci, if there was a serious contender for the title next to Trabzonspor, then in all likelihood that team would have won the title, because Trabzonspor probably would have faltered. But nobody was able to be as consistent as Trabzonspor, and at the end of the day, they did have a very decent point tally, and all credit to them. But of course, for us, I'm not going to look at Trabzonspor. I'm just going to look at us right now. We had a lot of adversity with the injuries, the referee mistakes, and then of course the mental deterioration of the team as a result of that. And that's just what cost us the season. But I think it's important as a fan as well, for your own mental well-being, is you need to be able to accept that. Like, you need to be able to go in the middle of the season, when you realize this is happening, you just need to be able to, okay, it's not gonna happen this season. It's not our season, and that's football. You can't win it every season. There's only one Bayern München. And you know what? And do you even want to be Bayern München? Because
that would be boring, right?
Did you see their title celebration? I think it was Schalke or something who promoted in the Bundesliga, and they were celebrating like crazy. I don't remember if it was Schalke or it was Hamburg, but one of their fan bases at least, like, they were celebrating like crazy. And the president of Bayern München came out and was like, "Oh, what are they doing? They're like they won. They are acting like they won the Champions League or something." And the president of the club said, "Well, what about you? You're acting like you lost the title because of their celebration being so." Because of course there was a giant cloud hanging over their championship celebration with Lewandowski trying to force his way out. But like for Bayern, when you win it 10 times in a row, it's like I was talking about on Twitter about this a few days ago. It's like with Nadim, the Anchorage fan, because when they lost the Europa League final. I said, well, you know what? I mean, you need to cherish these moments. Like, losing can be good. Of course, we all want to see our clubs do well and win. But you need to be able to know what disappointment is like.
Yeah. There's no high without the low.
To appreciate, exactly. And for Bayern München fans, of course, their annual disappointment is getting booted out of the Champions League by a team they probably should be beating. But apart from that, they have very little disappointment. Like, they just win every game in the Bundesliga, and at a certain point, you stop appreciating how lucky you are as a fan to be able to witness these types of teams. And last season, I was very aware of how special our season was, and I cherished every single moment. I think I even said on the podcast, like, guys, You have to. These are the moments that we live for as fans. Like, cherish them, and you need to be able to get positivity out of that. And when you have a season like this season, then you need to be able to look back and it's like, well, okay, this season, but next season maybe we'll be better, and we always have last season. That's how you have to look at things. Otherwise, you're just gonna go crazy and you're gonna lose. You're just gonna lose your marbles.
Yeah, especially just like the way it all went down. I feel like knowing how unjust much of it was, and how there were so many like feathers on the camel's back. At a certain point, you have to start in. Like, I actually started enjoying the season for other aspects, like seeing kids develop, like Emir.
Oh yeah, that was. That was definitely what kept me checked in was when the kids finally started getting chances, and especially Emirhan. He was the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what gave me hope for the future, and what's giving me hope for this season as well. We have a lot of players departing, like so many players are leaving, including starters.
A lot of dead weight.
But we have, a lot of that weight too. But we have a lot to look forward to with our young guard that's up and coming. We have this amazing young player, Emirhan, in the team now that's doing well. We have guys in the pipeline like Semih Kilifsoy who looks really exciting.
All right, look, let's do this. Let's organize this, because this is I think the fun part of the episode, especially for our listeners. So let's start talking about this upcoming season, and specifically the summer and how it all ties in. And let's go position by position, because like with Aaron, a lot has actually happened since then, because it's been like a week and a half. Like, for example, I had said at the time we had no prospect for who we were going to get as a central defender, and like out of nowhere, the news sort of that was like a great move, honestly. We have a guy now. I'll hand the mic. Who do we have? Drum roll in our featured role in the center of our 3-man back line.
Oh, am I supposed to?
Yeah. You got the drum roll.
Am I? Oh, just revealing the new player, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Moroccan national team captain Romain Saiss from Wolverhampton Wanderers. He's been playing in the Premier League for the past 6 years, I believe, or have Wolves been in the Premier League for 6 years? Well, anyway, 6 years at Wolves. Very highly rated, and 32 years old. So that's one of the reasons why we're able to get him.
Sure. The only.
But
that's the only fault.
But a very good ball-playing defender, which is overall highly rated for his defensive and leadership abilities. And he's going, I believe, are Morocco going to the World Cup? I think they are, but I'm not sure. But he captains the Moroccan national team, and very exciting to replace Domagoj Vida with, on paper, a very good central defender. And I think Vida had. I mean, I'm a big fan of Vida, as I think we all are, but he certainly, like, when it came to build-up play,
Morocco's in the World Cup. Sorry. Yeah. Important side note.
When it came to build-up play, like, Vida was never the strongest, and with the football that Valérien Esmenel wants to play with a 3-man back line, Romain Saiss is used to playing a 3-man back line at Wolves, and build-up-wise, he is very strong.
Oh my God. Hold on, Kaan. This is actually mildly hilarious. So, not only is Romain Saiss going to be in the World Cup for Morocco, but this is the group, dude. Number 1, they'll be playing Croatia and Domagoj Vida. So it's Saiss against Vida. Number 2, they're playing Belgium, Kaan. They're in the group with Belgium and Michy Batshuayi, so he'll be defending our former striker. And dude, guess who the other team is? Canada. That's like the Beşiktash group, dude.
Wow, this is really the Beşiktash group, yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, by the time the World Cup comes around, it won't be anymore.
We'll see. Or the former, the former and current.
Definitely a group for us that will be worth watching. Like, all it lacks is Algeria for some Rachid Ghazal magic, but
they didn't make it. They didn't make the World Cup.
No, exactly, yeah. But very exciting signing, and I think Ali Eje mentioned it a few weeks ago. He said, well, Fenerbahce have Kim Min-jae and Galatasaray have Marcao, and Trabzonspor have Vitor Hugo, but Beşiktaş need a marquee central defender if they want to compete for the title. And I think we got our marquee central defender. And the main reason why it feels like everyone's kind of not super excited about it or something is because it was so easy to get him, seemingly.
I know, there's just no
it was just
drama.
Something, Beşiktaş have agreement with Romain, Saiss, bam.
And so for anyone also, this is actually important. So the latest news, and this just dropped like pre-recording, is that he's in fact going to be arriving this coming Tuesday on July 14th.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's
yeah.
the 10th. Yeah. So July 14th.
He just played his last game with Morocco yesterday and assisted a goal. And he's coming on Tuesday, and it's great news. But I think it almost seems like our fans need a little bit of a transfer saga to get really excited. Like they didn't have time to get excited about Romain Saiss because it's already done. Like Vida, we know Vida's been we've known Vida was going to leave for a couple of weeks now. He got his send off in the last home game, being celebrated by the team and the fans, and it's a shame to see him go. But at the same time,
he's put in a good shift.
I don't think it's bad for him to leave now because he'll be remembered very fondly, I think, by the fans. Whereas, if he would have, say, signed an extension and maybe, I did have the feeling this year that he wasn't playing at the same level he had been playing the previous years, and maybe slowly his age was starting to get to him. I might be wrong. Maybe it was just the season we've had, the mental aspect of everything, and he was just, as the rest of the team, kind of in a mental state where he just couldn't perform at his highest. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's
something
that.
To it. I think you're right.
But sometimes it's a good thing to say goodbye and
it's an upgrade. I mean, most
on.
importantly for us is that it's a major upgrade. Saiss is a guy who is he was a top performer for a Premier League side. They were sad to see him go, online. Moroccan fans are shocked he's not like making an upward move.
They most certainly are shocked.
I think they expected him to get like a promotion, and so. Well,
maybe not a promotion, but I think they definitely expect like a lateral move or for him to stay in the top 5. I think the big expectation was Sevilla or Betis for him to go to La Liga, and I think especially let's be honest. It's definitely sort of a coup. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how it goes and how it pans out, of course. It's just on paper. But, he's definitely a player that probably could have done better.
And, I mean, dude, truth be told, if his major flaw is that he's 32, for a central defender, he could be in his prime for another 3 years, which is more than enough out of a free... Sure. He's a free transfer. It's amazing.
Definitely. And financially... 1.5. I've seen two numbers: 1.5 million or 1.8 million. So let's leave it in the middle. Let's say it's anywhere in between 1.5 and 1.8 million a year. I think for a marquee central defender,
that's fine.
We've been paying well over 3 million for our marquee central defender for the last 4 years. So we've basically halved that wage for the marquee central defender, and arguably he's an upgrade over Domagoj Vida. I think it's a little hard to say that when somebody like Vida has played so well and served your club so well, to say that it's outright going to be let's be honest, remember Victor Ruiz, we thought we got an amazing central defender, and he was definitely good, but he was not
the best.
He was on paper. He was going to be an upgrade, right? But he ended up not being, and of course didn't leave in the best way either. But he is a similar profile as Saiss with ball playing central defender. But let's hope it pans out. And we got that signing in the bag already. Of course, we already have Gedson Fernandes in the bag as well. So we already have 2 marquee signings for the new season.
And let's not forget Gujufi, right? He's more of an under 19 signing. But.
But I mean, he's a signing for the future. I don't think we'll be seeing that
he's
much.
He's not gonna get a foreign spot. I doubt.
Maybe if he impresses Valérien Ismaël in the camp, maybe then maybe. But I don't think so.
One of my favorite things about Ismaël is that he attended all of those youth matches. He really does seem to be open-minded. So. I think we have a lot of the great pieces in place right now. I really think it's just a matter of do we get the guys we need, right?
Yeah.
And so let's keep moving. So look, we got a key part of our defense and a key part of this whole system, if we're going to be honest. And so then the next question is, are we upgrading the sort of Turk? We need a Turk. Montero and Wellington will vie for one of those spots. And on the other side, theoretically on the left side now, because Saiss is going to be in the middle, so it could still be, the reason I say that is it could still be Abdulkarim Bardakci, right? There's still talk of that. But besides that, there's also been mention of a number of other options. Koray Gunter was one for a while. More recently, who is this guy for Adana Demir? Samet Akaydin, who's like already 28. I don't know, but if he's good, I mean, I don't recall him standing out personally. I know Abdul Karim has, but it's also might have like waited too long for that.
Listen, for me, it's if you're like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Ridvan, right? So Ridvan is more than likely is looking very, very extremely likely now that he's leaving and is going to Eintracht Frankfurt for $6.5 million. And right now, I believe they're still negotiating with Frankfurt over the sell-on clause. So Beşiktaş want to include 20% on the next sale.
I've even heard that we might be looking for. Yeah. There was I don't. Well, let's not speculate.
So Ridvan. Let's say Ridvan leaves, right? One of our young, exciting players. He won the championship with us last season, and he was our main left back this season, or left wing back as we moved to a 3-4-3.
And he thrived in
and now we're selling him for $6.5 million, right? And Ridvan is a young Turk, highly rated, and we need Turks in the team for the foreign limit, obviously, because Turkey, the country. And we're selling Ridvan for $6.5. And I'm sorry, $6.5 million for Ridvan. All right, that's in the European market. I think that's probably roughly what a Turkish player from the Super League should go for. But then you're seeing,
maybe we can bump it up. We'll see. There's talk of us trying to.
But then you're seeing, Konya wanting $5 million for Abdul Karim. Come on, man. Prof. No, don't waste your.
This is what we hate. Please. This is why we know that this stupid foreign.
Oh yeah,
is so
counterproductive. You linked an article just before the podcast started of Emre Can Uzunhan or something, whatever, from Istanbul Spor. Did you bother to click it and read it? Because Istanbul Spor apparently wants 10 million euros for this kid. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Go fuck yourself in that. Come on, seriously, fuck off. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Like, we're selling one of the hottest prospects in Turkish football for $6.5 million, and you're gonna fucking ask for even remotely that? Like Abdul Karim, Konyaspor should be asking maximum 3 million euros for the guy, and even that is too much. And if we're even contemplating paying over 50% of the fee we're getting for Ridvan, then we are insane.
I would only give 2 million for Abdul, because he's also not young anymore either.
No, he's not. He's like 27 or something.
Yeah.
Like, why would you pay a premium? No, don't fucking give Serdar Saci 300k more a year and extend him.
In fact, dude, not only is he 27, he's turning 28, like right when the season starts.
I mean, let's get, shall we? Let's waste our money on this piece of I've been swearing a lot today.
I was like, you give me a lot of work here on the beep.
Don't make me, goddammit. No, but like, why? No, don't give your fucking hard-earned money to these pieces of shit. Yeah. I mean, no, don't give Konyaspor money. Why would you give Konyaspor money? They ended above us this past season. They're our competition this season for European tickets. Don't give them fucking ammunition. Like, don't bother. Abdul Karim is not a special talent. He's almost 28. It's not worth paying a premium for. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. Go for someone else. Pay a premium for Koray Gunter if you want. Pay a premium for Kaan Ayhan if you want. At least those players are proven in European top competition.
Uzkacar, the new guy who just made the national side. He's playing in Lyon, is it? Cenk Uzkacar.
There's a young, well, he's not young anymore in the meantime, but like there's a Turk in that plays in Switzerland for FC Basel. He has an amazing cross pass. I forget his name.
Zeki
But
Amdouni?
no. It's a central defender. I forget his name. I watched him against PSV a year or two ago, live in the stadium actually. And really, Kai has an amazing cross pass. Like, why don't we go after someone like that then? Like, go after someone in Europe then. Because for that type of money, 5 million euros, you can buy Kaan Ayhan, you can buy Koray Günther. They're the same age as Abdul Karim. Yeah. Why waste your money on a guy that's only ever performed for an Anatolian team? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Fuck it.
Honestly,
if they waste more than 2 million euros on a domestic player, I'm gonna lose my if you sell Ridvan for 6.5 and you
how much you think that guy what's his damn name, I can't believe it. The guy who was playing for Liverpool for a minute and flopped and then he played for another side in England.
The striker?
No, the central defender. He was in the national side for a while, like almost even a starter, but then he sort of
for Turkey?
Yeah. What's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. He's pretty young, but
do you mean Can? Emre Can?
No.
The German?
Central defender. No, he's on the Turkish. He's already played for the national side. He's quite young. He played for Norwich. What's his name? Hold on.
I don't know. But like, what's his name? He played for Kaiser this past season. The guy from Gençlerbirliğ that went to Roma. What's his name again?
Ozan Kabak, man. What happened to that guy?
Oh, Ozan Kabak from Galatasaray. Okay. Oh,
right?
He went back
at this point, I feel like he's probably played himself out of.
He went back to
England.
Schalke, right?
Yeah, and I bet guys like that you could probably, if you're gonna spend a little more, you could probably go for something a little higher pedigree than.
Well, I mean, he's a Galatasaray Academy product, do you really want to...
Oh, yeah, there's that whole...
No, but there are other options out there, and I feel like a guy like Abdul Karim, it's like, oh, you know what, let's call him up to the national team, he doesn't play, but who gives? Let's call him up to the national team, so he costs a premium. No, don't.
They just did that with Thiago Chukwueze.
Stay away from Abdul Karim Bardakci, please. He is not worth that type of money. He just isn't. I'm not saying he's a player.
I know. I would say if they'll take 2 million, fine. That's it. That's my final offer.
2.5 maybe.
Yeah, 2.5.
But like, I think if you're getting 6.5 for Ridvan and let's use that 6.5 million, replace Ridvan. Somebody who's being mentioned is Kazimcan from Altay. Okay, that's a young player. You can invest in
Karataş. Supposedly they want 2 million for him, and we're negotiating that down. So it's weird that we would.
But that at least that is realistic. That is not this Turkish bullshit mentality of the foreign limit's coming. Let's with a Mehmet Topuz 9 million and Ozan Tufan 7 million and all these prices. Come on. That's not realistic. That's not the market value of Turkish players.
And like Onur Bulut, like all these names that people are looking to, they're going to be way out of our price range because of what they're going to ask for.
Or like,
And so it actually stunts their development, right? Because the only chance, like Abdul Karim Bardakci, he's a guy who should have either gone to a bigger club like 2 or 3 years ago or gone to Europe, but because he doesn't have a big enough profile with Konya to go to Europe, because none of our big clubs can afford anything because of our debt, he's kind of been stuck at a middle. I mean, credit to Konya.
That's one of the reasons why I'm not in favor, because 3 years ago Abdul Karim wasn't even on anyone's radar. He was like 24 years old and he was nowhere in his career. Like I feel like he only really established himself the past 2 years. He's almost 20
maybe it was
years
more like
old.
2 years ago.
I mean, I might be, with Corona and everything, everything kind of got messed up.
Kind of conflated, yeah.
But Abdul Karim, I've always, everyone's been kind of touting him.
He's been on his
for a while.
Side more.
And for me, it's always been like, this guy's already in his mid-20s. Like, why would you...
It's true. It's a bad... Like, you don't... A project should be 21, like maybe even 19.
You know,
like,
obviously, some players peak late, and that doesn't mean actually a player that peaks late is probably better than a player that peaks early, because otherwise you can have an instance of a player that's already done at 28, 29, and
you know, honestly, you could probably even make the argument that we saw enough development in Serdar Saci that we should at least be open-minded to the possibility that he comes into training camp or performs well in training camp enough that he merits a little more time. I mean, hopefully we resign him, right?
The problem with Serdar is that he has a very bad agent. And I mean bad in the sense of he's a very difficult agent to work with. Fenerbahce have already kicked him out of their club, I believe, because he's also, I believe, he's Meri Demiral's agent, and he's one of the reasons why they lost Meri. And if you remember, Meri went first to Sporting, of course, but then to Alanya. And this guy, he basically stalls everyone at Alanya. So he's Ahmed Gulai's agent. Now he's Serdar's agent. He's a dangerous person. I feel like a dangerous person for us as a club, right? Like for these players, maybe not so much. Like for Meri, it worked out. Although for his other clients so far, I mean, if your dream is to play for Alanya Sport, then sure. But you know, I think these kids
actually, let's quickly asterisk that, because you mentioned Ahmed Gulay, and that's actually, he's in the news again as someone who can be recalled. He is, remember, if you all remember, he's on a 2-year loan. He's in the second year of that now. So we can theoretically recall him as our backup for Umut Meraş. I guess the question is, do you want to go for someone who you know could theoretically challenge Umut Meraş for that spot, right? And so I think that's where like Kazımcan Karataş gives you a little more hope in that regard.
This is another one of those things, like, you know, when people are talking about youth players, you always need to take stuff with a major pinch of salt. Like, remember back in the day, Ricardo Quaresma and Cristiano Ronaldo. Quaresma was seen as the bigger talent. And when 2 years ago, when Ahmed Gulay went to Alanyaspor, he was actually being touted as the bigger talent than Ridvan.
But put a feather in that, because supposedly the main reason we are maybe not going to recall him is that Alanya has basically decided that he's a starter for them going into the season. So you can make the argument maybe you want him playing there regularly just to see what he's got.
Is he really? Because he played 5 games in the Super League this past season.
Yeah, I know. That was the question mark. But supposedly, that's what I just saw as a rumor. Is like that. That's our hesitation. Supposedly they have him slotted right now, and obviously a lot can happen. They could bring back Nsakala, for example. Who knows, right? Something can change.
I have question marks when it comes to Ahmed Gulay, because he has gotten so little playing time at Alanya. So I don't really know what was the point of stalling him at Alanya when he barely got minutes.
Here's my thing about left wing back. I know it's something of a controversial opinion. I don't have a problem with Umut Meraş being slotted in as the starter.
Oh no, of course not. But the only issue I have with Umut Meraş is I think when he played, he was always good for us. But I have the sense that he has been injured a lot this season.
Yeah, he's injured.
So he kind of
you need depth. Yeah,
strikes me as he took that number 77 from Gökhan, and he also took his injury woes, it seems. So I don't know. We definitely need another player able to play there. But look, if you're playing a 3-4-3, you don't need to have a left back. You can have a left midfielder that's with decent defensive capabilities. Of course, then the question is there a Turkish left midfielder able of playing that position? Our fans got really excited about Tayfur Bingöl because he played a good game against us for Alanya this season, but he's like 29 as well.
There's also talk of this Eski Helac guy. A number of the big clubs are supposedly looking at him now, because he's on Yeni Malatya, right? So he's gonna be wanting. Yeah,
but he's Mustafa Eski Helac, right? But I think he's like he's an attacking midfielder, isn't he? And he's like 29 or 20.
I know, it's another one of those names that I don't like, because it's like, why are we doing that? Let's get a prospect. I'm actually more interested in the Ondrejka rumor, which is supposedly like we've been on the brink of him already being signed for like 2 weeks.
Supposedly, yeah, there's an agreement in place there, but we are awaiting to see what happens with the Football Federation, who becomes the new president, and what's going to happen with the foreign limit. And apparently, a lot of clubs are kind of holding their breath right now, and there does seem to be a certain expectation of things changing with the new TFF president, because Atiba's contract is still kind of up in the air, because he, of course, he's been going on a 1-year extension every year for the past couple of years.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week, right? Like, I think all of us want him re-signed, but I think we also have to recognize realistically, like, it might not be the smartest move. Even though it is the right one.
You already have Getson now. You have Joseph, of course. So centrally,
Cartel Yilmaz coming back. Supposedly he's ready to go.
Yeah, but you have to, like, if you have a limited amount of foreign spots, you have to look at every position in the team and how many foreigners can you realistically slot in the same role. Like, then if with Atiba you'd have 3 midfielders, central midfielders, defensive midfielders, whatever, who are foreigners, right? So yeah.
And another point for you to add to this, or for me to throw like a monkey in wrench in whatever it is that Ondrejka will theoretically in training camp be competing with, and this is already confirmed, both Aydin Hasic and this is a wild card that folks may have forgotten about, Tyler Boyd. He's supposedly going to be given a fair shake by Valérien Ismail. So
Tyler Boyd is someone that could play as a wing back and do so, because remember, like, his work rate is he has
that American, like, fitness, you know what I mean? He's got that fitness kick in his gene.
That New Zealander fitness.
That's right.
Sure. I think a guy like Boyd could definitely
he might impress him with his work ethic.
He is, like, this is another victim of the foreign limit. Like, I think Tyler Boyd is someone that, if there wasn't a stupid foreign limit, we'd always keep on the team. Like, maybe he's not necessarily what you want out of a starter, but look at Kenan, and you guys talked about this last week as well, how Kenan actually impressed as a right wing back, and that we seemingly found something he was good at
after all.
And that's the same. I could see Tyler Boyd being very.
He scored
good
as many goals as a right wing back as he did as a striker. One, but whatever.
Yeah. But Tyler Boyd is definitely someone. If they say, okay, this foreign limit and throw it out the window, and they just keep it at the, what it used to be, 14 foreigners in your squad, and
they bump it back to 14
if you want them. Yeah. Then total, that would, if you sell Ridvan and they go back to something like that, then I have no problem with it. But if you sell Ridvan and they f*** you with a foreign limit, and then you're forced to spend that hard-earned money on a really good young player, and you're forced to spend that on mediocre Turks, I'm gonna be f***ing livid. Yeah. And that's something, look, with this economy that the powers that be have f***ed up, they need to stop butting their noses into football, because they've already f***ed clubs enough with the economy as the entire country. Now you're gonna start and dictate, like, oh, well, you have to overspend on Turks as well on top of that. No, if a Turk is good enough, sure, pay a premium. But Abdulkarim Bardakci is not worth 5 million euros. No freaking way. There's just look,
honestly, like, if it's gonna keep going in this direction economically and with the stupid mismanagement where they're making these dumb rules, then we're gonna have to come to a point, and I think we actually have the right group at the moment, where we just say, screw it, we're gonna just go to our academy and just do this the right way, because we can't afford to keep overpaying. Like, we're not going back to that,
That's what
I don't want to go back to overpaying for these scrubs.
That's what I mean, but that's one of the things I really like right now about Beşiktaş is we are going back to the roots of the club. If you go, and you don't even have to go back that far, but in the 90s and in the 80s, like, most of the players, or at least a large portion of the players that we had that did good for us, were Turks that we either scouted and got at an early age. Take Mehmet Özdilek and Oktay Derioğlu as an example. Like, they weren't academy products, but we got them at like 18, 19 years old. And then, of course, you have others like Sergen, like Alpay,
Like Yassine Saloon, he was a homegrown.
Yassine was homegrown, but
I'm a fan. Don't talk about Yassine like that.
He had an uncle that was a board member, I believe. So there's a reason why he.
I remember him in FIFA because he was super fast, and you could always spam the speed button with him.
He might have been super fast in FIFA, but he was not
in real life.
But yeah, no. Beşiktaş traditionally have always had a lot of input from the academy and a lot of input from scouting early on and getting young players. Mehmet Özdilek was a player that he was born in Samsun, but at Samsunspor he wasn't getting a fair shake because he was too small. It's a similar story to Leo Messi, where he was kind of like, oh, he's too small and blah blah blah, but Barcelona obviously saw the light in him, and we that same thing with Chifo Mehmet, and that's what I'm liking about our team right now, is that we have so many academy products. Like this past season, we had Ersin obviously, Ridvan, Serdar, and then you have Emirhan coming up, and then now
I have to say also, I think people are generally sleeping too much on Montero as a guy who flew under many people's radars when we got him. People have been on the fence about him for a lot of his time with us, but at the end of the day, he's still 21, maybe turning 22 now, and he's actually becoming a reliable. Like, he's young enough that he could actually have a much higher ceiling than we know. And that's like a young kid that we're basically. I mean, he's almost like our product at this point because he's been with us for 2 years.
2 years. I mean, but that's kind of what you want, right? You want to get young. You want to get players young, if possible. You want to have players getting opportunities. Beşiktaş needs to be a destination for young players in Turkey that they go to and they think and they have, like, for the past 20 years, Beşiktaş for young players has kind of been like, well, there's very few opportunities being given to youth players, and there've been opportunities, like Mehmet Sedef and Fatih Aksoy, and there's been guys getting some opportunity. Of course, Batuhan, but he was a big disappointment. Mohamed, but he was a big disappointment. But now
don't say that in front of everyone.
But now, well, everyone can sit on his head. He's a massive disappointment. Mohamed Demirci got nothing out of his career. Plays in the third division for Erzincan and finally starts having a decent season. Fuck off. He should have been the next big thing in Turkish football. He nowhere near accomplished what he should have gotten out of his career because he was lazy, just like Batuhan was lazy. But that's the difference between these young players now. Ersin is a hard worker. Emre Bilgin, is looking promising. Ridvan, they all have the right mentality. Emirhan. Yeah, and now
Serdar,
we have Serdar is the only one who has a mentality because he's allowing agent to make him crazy. Like, you're getting actual playtime at Beşiktaş. Why the would you not extend and go to? Why would you want to go to Alanyaspor? Like, because that's realistically where they're gonna put him. Like, where is Serdar gonna go right now? Like, I mean,
supposedly there was interest from Italy. That's the only thing I'd be willing to sell him if that were true. But.
I mean,
but like, even then, like, what's he go play for Cagliari? Like, is that really that exciting?
Get his head out of his. He needs to extend, and he needs to fire that agent he's got. Because he does not, like, that guy does not have the best interest of his client at heart. Like, I don't know what his game is.
A lot of people just want to have an outside say and stuff.
I get it. If you're an agent and your players are playing at Fenerbahce, that you want to get them out of there as fast as possible. I get that because
especially if they're young.
Because Fenerbahce is not a club that gives opportunities to young players traditionally.
No way.
Having said that, Ferdi finally got an opportunity this past season. And
it took him long enough, and he had to play out of position.
Definitely took him long enough. I mean, his first contract thing expires.
He had to be super flexible, even to play there.
It took him until the final season of his contract, and I think he signed a 4-year contract. His final season of his contract to finally get a proper opportunity. So it took him long enough for sure. But he finally got that chance, and now he's a wingback. He's not even, you know.
Has he re-signed or they?
He extended, yeah. They threw a lot of money at him and he extended.
I wanted to steal that guy.
And then of course they had Arda Güler, who has been promising, but of course, you know, he plays like 300 minutes and everyone's riding his.
I want to say how unjust, dude. Emirhan was so much more impressive. He's looking at like how much more he contributed.
Bro, shut up. Let them hype Arda Güler.
That's true.
Moon. So they so they leave Emirhan alone because Emirhan is freaking 17 years old.
He's a special boy.
And look, Arda Güler might be a really big talent, but Emirhan has lungs.
Yeah.
He has the physicality. Arda Güler played 300 minutes and he got injured and he's out for the rest of the season. Let's see if he has let's see if he has a professional sport athlete's physique,
mentality,
even mentality. If he has the body for it, look at Ozan. Ozan had all the talent in the world, but his body just broke down. Let's hope.
I think there was some mentality stuff with him.
Oh, of course. But Emirhan is already, you know, the last few games for us. He had the most distance covered, 11.
He was the answer. I said it like when we were, because like literally we can't, like when Ismail came. We were excited, like everyone was there's a little uplift, but then we hit a low, and literally the move that just like changed everything was just he put Emirhan in, and he played full 90 minutes, and from then on, he literally connected the defense to the attack, and just we went from having like 5 chances for like 2 or 3 matches to 20 plus for pretty much the last like 5 or 6 matches, and it was literally that was the. I mean,
20 plus might be a little overstatement, but
no, dude, literally, you'd be surprised. Those last few matches, we had like 21 shots. Granted, like 6 of them were on target, you know. But still, like it's worth.
21 shots is not, you know, big chances created, right? Like it's
no, of course not.
But yeah,
still, nonetheless, you're going from 5 to 21. Like that's
our
shit.
midfield has been an issue the entire season, and Emirhan definitely offered us something there. But that's also kind of, you know, like when I was listening to the podcast last week, and you guys were talking about Getson, and Getson, of course, is a great signing, is a great player, but I'm almost disappointed that we got Getson because I feel like it's going to take Emirhan is not going to get the amount of minutes that you'd want.
I mean, honestly, it's okay. Realistically, like he should earn that spot, right? Like, it's good.
The thing is,
hopefully, he has the right mentality, right?
You can see from Emirhan, from his interviews, he's still very much a 17-year-old kid. And a 17-year-old kid cannot be expected to perform at a very high level for 40 games in a season. Yeah. Like, that's not realistic, that's not fair. Emirhan needs to have the space to have lesser periods to not all he needs to have that. He needs to have that freedom. Young players need that. So it's important that Emirhan doesn't get, like, Emirhan spoke about the pressure and how he does struggle with it a little bit.
For a minute. And then he also took a lull, and then it was when he got reinserted late in the year that he really sort of blossomed. But
that's the thing, like Emirhan needs to not have the pressure of the world on his shoulders. He does not have to have that weight on him that he needs to be the guy in midfield. He doesn't need that yet. He still needs to develop for 2 or 3 more years. And maybe at 19 he'll be... Because, I mean, honestly, when I was watching him play, I felt like I was watching a 24, 25-year-old mature player.
In the body of a 17-year-old. Which was
exactly. So, but Emirhan needs time, even though he's already really good. But he just needs to get time, and he needs to be allowed to make mistakes, and he needs to be allowed to not always be at his A game, and he needs to be allowed to learn from mistakes and to learn from his colleagues. So let's hope that he does get enough playing time this coming season, but at the same time that he doesn't get not too much pressure gets put on him, and he gets to grow gradually. And the same thing is true for if like we would get like a Ahmed Gulay back if we are going to utilize Semi. And that's also one of the things why I'm personally happy that we're not extending with Guven, is because I don't think the ceiling on Guven is where you want it to be. And I think we have a young player in the youth now that we've been seeing a lot of in the last couple of weeks. That has.
Well, let's do this. This is we got to talk striker. That's obviously the big remaining piece for us to discuss. And this is, I think, the perfect segue again. So, first of all, it's not entirely finished. The latest today is that we're putting in a final offer for Guven Yelchin, but we're still he wants something like 1.8 million or 2 million, and we only want to go 1.5 max, which
he
is
doesn't
too much.
Even, no, that's 600,000 euros too much.
Too much, yeah. It should be under a mil, or maybe a mil max, but yeah, no, So I say let him go. I would be much more interested in, first of all, striker number one, which we'll have to talk about. Weghorst is supposedly the number one option. Sorloth is still in there's still lots of discussion about that. Supposedly we've agreed with him. I don't know if it's legit. Shafak Malatya just mentioned him again as someone who we are still in talks with. Jordi Caicedo is out. Basically, supposedly he wanted 5 mil.
Yeah, Sofia,
Sofia wanted 5 mil.
Just got Sofia,
which is too much. Fair enough. We didn't want to spend 6 mil for Buxa. I can see why we wouldn't maybe want to spend 5 mil for Jordi Caicedo. If we can talk it down, great.
Look, if you're gonna spend big money, and for Beşiktaş 5-6 million is big money, then you need to be sure.
Sure thing.
Then you need to. The thing with a guy like Jordi Caicedo is that he's had a good season in Bulgaria. He's young enough, but is Bulgaria, right? It's not. It's
definitely not
it's not a top 5 league. Does he have the technical ability to work in Turkey? Does he have? And if he doesn't, does he have the physical attributes that you want? Excuse me. So, for example, a guy like Wout Weghorst is not the most talented player technically.
But I think he fits the system fairly perfectly.
He does, profile-wise.
You see that goal he just scored for the Dutch national team, for example. You could just imagine Gazal giving him 15 of those, at least.
But that's the thing with Weghorst, is that he didn't even play a good game for the Netherlands. The Netherlands as a team didn't play a good game against Wales.
He scored the game.
But the thing with a guy like Weghorst is he will work his socks off for 90 plus minutes. He has a really big frame. He's 1.97 meters. He's going to score. He's unavoidable. His entire career, he's scored everywhere. Even in England, where the Twins label. Well, Cartel mentioned, he flopped. He flopped in England. To be fair, he played there for half a season. He played 20 games, scored 2, and assisted 3. That is
all
not
in all,
great.
It was an 8-goal season, which is not bad, honestly. Especially at that level.
He did in the first half of the season for Wolfsburg. He scored 6 goals, so he was on track at Wolfsburg for having another 10+ goal season. And it definitely, if let's say he doubled his numbers, 12 goals would have been his worst season, because he's had 16, 17 consistently, and I think he even had a 28-goal season in the Netherlands or something. But he's definitely Weghorst is the type of striker that's going to get you 15 to 20 goals realistically, and I think in our system he would fit perfectly. And I think if you sign a guy like that, then you know what you're getting for your money. With a guy like Buxa, with a guy like Caicedo, you don't know. Buxa is a gamble. Buxa did well in the MLS, but it's the MLS. We've seen plenty of players come from the MLS to Turkey and squander. Remember that Colombian guy Castillo that went to Trabzonspor? Definitely had a couple of great moments, but he never really lived up to what we expected of him, and he went back. Then you have Diego Rossi now at Fenerbahce. Really high expectations.
Mediocre results.
Didn't do bad, but certainly didn't live up to. I think they paid 10 million euros or something.
They're already looking to move on too.
Certainly not worth that type of money. And then we had, of course, Kyle Larin, who
hit and miss. Of course, hit or miss. No,
he had last season where he scored a lot of goals. But let's be honest, we all know Kyle Larin
was happening there.
But we know what Kyle Larin is, and that's the MLS level. That's what you're gonna get from an MLS player.
But look,
we know kind of what we're gonna get from an MLS player, and I don't think spending $6 million on a guy like Buxa is.
Here's my feeling, and I actually have to say, I really, in fact, I want to take this chance to give a shout out to whoever is Jehun Kazanji, whoever's in charge of this. I have been thoroughly impressed by the existence of some scouting here. I feel like everyone who has been introduced, I have looked at. I've looked at highlight reels and like tried to get some sense of what they look like, even in sort of not highlight reels.
But
and
they're using a lot of data.
They're intriguing.
They're using a lot of data to. I believe
they're finally there.
They have signed a contract with a data company, and they're doing
Valerian Ismail,
data
he came in with a lot of tech, supposedly, right to the training ground. So, I mean, I love it. I love innovation. I'm all for it. I feel like you can't over-rely on numbers, but you should also not be blind to them.
In modern football, you're seeing a lot more of this, of data scouting. You're seeing a lot more. That's a trend. That's Sorloth is an example of data scouting, because he went to Midtjylland, and they are known for, like, their recruitment is 100% based on database scouting. So what they do is they buy players based purely on data. Like, they I mean, maybe they watch them for like 1 or 2 games or something, but they basically buy players purely based on that. And Sorloth went there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, before he did. Anyway,
it's a great dude. Like, just every name that we've had, I've looked into. I thought, that'll work. I could be down for that. And like, you go through the list from Buxa to Caicedo to Sorloth to Jackson Muleka to Weghorst.
With Caicedo, I kind of have my doubts if he's really the profile we want. Because I mean, yeah, he's like 187, but I think what this system needs is a big mother. Like, what you want is a Sorloth, what you want is a Weghorst, like a 195, big mother frame, strong as hell, ox up front, with both Sorloth and Weghorst are not refined footballers. Like, they are not technically, like, they're
not fancy feet. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's not what you're gonna get with them. Like, I'm not saying they can't pass a meter over like they can't pass a ball over 5 meters or anything like that, but like, obviously, what if you get a guy like Weghorst, what you're getting is determination, fighting spirit, and the ability to run into a ball eventually. And but I mean, obviously, he's more than that. Weghorst is a good finisher, especially with his head, also with his feet. He's, like, in the box. Like, I kind of likened him to an extent to Mario Gomez. I think Mario Gomez was a much more refined finisher, and much less a workhorse, and more a fox in the box poacher type of striker. But
Mario Gomez's magic was that you think he was. You always thought he's kind of rigid. He doesn't really have the agility or whatever. But then he would always somehow do something that would kind of go against what you'd expect. You know?
Yeah, he was a natural born goal scorer. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things you have with Weghorst as well. I think he's a natural born goal scorer. And the reason I would prefer us to fork out money on Weghorst over Sorloth is because Sorloth is not.
Yeah,
Sorloth had one magical season in Turkey, but everywhere else he's gone, he's struggled to score. Like,
I think he might have had a good year.
Like, he scores goals, Denmark, but he does, like, with Weghorst, if he plays a full season, you know you're getting 15 goals. With Sorloth,
we'll see.
You don't.
Yeah, I mean, Sorloth, you can feel good. If he comes, I think we'll all feel good, but yeah, I know what you mean.
With Sorloth, you might get 5 goals, you might get 20 goals, you don't know.
You might get 30.
What you're hoping for with Sorloth is him to capture fire in a bottle for the second time. And I don't think, if you're looking at the numbers being named, 3 million a year, 3.5 or 3 million a year, plus like 8 or 9 million transfer fee. If you're looking at that type of money, then you need to look elsewhere, I think. Even though I think Sorloth would be a good signing, but not for those conditions. If you can get Weghorst for 2 million or 2.5 million a year and an 8 million fee, then I would always go for him. The problem with Weghorst is that for him, Turkey is a step down. And
we should probably mention the Van Gaal rumor. Supposedly Louis Van Gaal said he doesn't want him to come to Turkey. I would argue that like the way he scored that game winner probably cements a spot for him. Not the starting goal. We all know that that's going to...
No. Because, I mean, look, Memphis Depay is obviously their starter, but then they have their second striker.
Also Luke de Jong.
Is Luke de Jong or Weghorst, and that's going to be like, what is Van Gaal going to do? Is he going to take 3 strikers to the World Cup? Then Weghorst is probably a shoo-in. But if he is only going to go with 2... then I don't know why he would feel like but he also called up Vincent Janssen, who's playing in Mexico.
It feels like Broby for Ajax is a young guy that they are all wanting to see. Those Ajax fans, you know, I know them from our Champions League.
Yeah, well,
adventure. Like I follow a bunch of Ajax, Sporting, and who was the other side that we had to deal with this year? Dortmund. I follow a bunch of them now because like we did a little podcast exchange and all that. So it was.
But anyway,
Weghorst
definitely has to fight for his place in the national team. So the thing with that is, like he obviously is. The things that are being said is like he's kind of holding out for maybe a move to back to Germany or staying in England. Now, if I was him, I would definitely not stay in England. I've said this in our WhatsApp group as well. I think like if he's going to have a suitor from England, it's probably going to be a relegation candidate, and I think
not going to score many goals.
But what he needs is a stable environment where he's going to have quality around him, and where he's going to have the opportunity to score his goals. And I think either he needs to go back to Germany. If I was him, my priority would be back to a club like Wolfsburg, German mid-table. That would be my priority if I was him. If I can't get that, then I'd go to Turkey for a wild adventure. And look, it's worked out for people in the past. Ryan Babel.
I was about to say Babel.
Ryan Babel.
He stayed with the Dutch side for way too long. Even though he was playing
before Beşiktaş, he hadn't played for the Dutch national team in like 10 years, since like 2012 or something, or whatever it was. Yeah. So it wasn't 10 years, it was 6 years. But now and then suddenly he became their striker for a while when he was at Beşiktaş because of how good he was doing at the time. And Mario Gomez, of course. We rehabilitated him, and he went back to the German national team after Beşiktaş. So for him, and then of course, you know, there's also examples of Wesley Sneijder, who in 2014, while Louis van Gaal was the Netherlands' coach at the World Cup, Sneijder was at Galatasaray. But one of the things that maybe makes Van Gaal say, well, Turkey is maybe not the best option for you, is also because of the state Sneijder was in at the time. Do you remember how fat he had gotten and stuff like that? And he really leaned down to go to the World Cup because Van Gaal basically told him, look, either you get in shape or you're not coming. So that really motivated Sneijder, and he played an amazing season that season because of Van Gaal telling him, look. But that's not going to be an issue with Weghorst, because Weghorst is like Atiba. He's a true professional, lives for his craft, will go above and beyond.
Because he wasn't like in the best of form with Burnley, and to be fair, like I don't think they weren't a good team. Scoring many goals, but like because of that, he's going to be hungry to come back with on fire.
And especially early on, and that's also why I think one of the advantages we have right now. And look, Serjan Dikme said that Weghorst's future will be revealed in the next couple of days, and I think that is accurate because Weghorst is going to want to find a club as soon as possible. He's going to want to get a full because
he wants to come in strong.
The World Cup is in November, so he needs to be at his new club relatively quickly. And he needs
he can't wait till find his form in October.
Exactly. He needs to settle in quick, and he needs to be in a club where he knows he's going to be central to the project. And that's one of the things right now. Valérien Ismaël is talking to Weghorst personally, trying to convince him to come. And I think I have good hope for this because of that. Because I think
that's actually really good news. Because he's a good talker, Ismail.
Well,
he knows what to say.
I think the important part is that Weghorst knows that he's wanted and that he's going to be central to the project. And I think for Ismail, that striker like Weghorst is essential, and he fits the project. And that's if Ismail can convince him of that, then I think we have a really good shot at getting him for a season at least. And we'll see after that, option to buy, whatever. Of course, Fenerbahce are also putting their name in the hat because they always do. They always do,
That's just that's who they are.
They're obsessed with our transfer policy. It's like Trabzonspor won the league. So we finished fucking 6th or what was it? But they have to mess with us. But the advantage we have over Fenerbahce is I think that Weghorst for us is much more of a priority. The important thing is for Ismail and the club, whoever's negotiating with him and his agent, to convey that message to him that for us, he is an essential part of the plan for this coming season. Whereas Fenerbahce, I don't think Weghorst is that. I think they want a striker, but I don't think the profile of striker is as important for them. Like, they are naming lots of different, like Seferovic from Benfica is being named, obviously Weghorst is being named, Sorloth, whatever. Like, but Fenerbahce just want a good striker, right? But we want a type like Weghorst in like specifically that type of a striker. So as long as that can be conveyed, I think we have an advantage in that. However, of course, Fenerbahce have the advantage of European football. The question is, how important is that going to be for Weghorst? I think for him, the most important thing will be having a stable season in a team that functions around him. With us, he's going to get that. With Fenerbahce, I think there's a lot more question marks. I also, we'll see. So far, I haven't heard of any interest from Germany in him. Like, I've been, Googling his name, or like searching his name daily and seeing what the rumors are. I've seen some rumors of Club Brugge supposedly interested in him. Of course, PSV have been named. I think PSV would be a good option for him too. By the way, like, he definitely fits that mold. But those rumors definitely aren't heating up. And it all seems to be Beşiktaş. So I think right now, from what's publicly known, Beşiktaş are the most serious club for him right now. Of course, you don't know. You don't know who the guy is talking to or his agent is talking to. Maybe some stuff that hasn't been leaked. Maybe there are other interested parties. I would be surprised if there wasn't any serious interest from the Bundesliga. I think it would be a massive coup if we managed to get him. But I think we have a lot of things working in our favor right now. The fact that he is going to want to make a decision soon. The fact that Ismail is really keen on him and is working hard on convincing him. And they have a shared background at Wolfsburg. They didn't work together, but Ismail was at Wolfsburg and has been at Wolfsburg for a while. He coached the B team, he coached the A team for a while. And then the season after Ismail was coached there, Weghorst came there, so there is a little bit of a connection there. Yeah, I think we have a good shot, honestly, to get him for a season at least. And also the fact that he's, like, supposedly it was being reported by, I don't remember if it was Orta Çizgi or Sercan Dikme. So either Murat Ozan or Sercan was reporting this. So two of the most credible Beşiktaş sources, they were reporting that right now we are offering 2 million. He wants 2.5. I think that is so much more realistic for what our budget is. When you're talking about Sorloth and you're talking about 3 million a year, I'm sorry. Look, with Weghorst, you know what you're getting. You know you're getting a guaranteed 15 goals a season almost. With Sorloth, you don't. So why would you? I completely understand why we have shifted from putting our focus on Sorloth to now putting our focus on Weghorst, because financially it makes more sense, and also sportively I think it makes more sense. He's older than Sorloth, but he's 20. He's almost 30. He's turning 30 years old. But that's, we got Mario Gomez when he turned 30 years old, and he could have easily been our striker for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. Yeah, definitely.
And
if only.
that's the thing with Weghorst right now as well. Like we can offer him something, and we have a good track record in with strikers and with getting them back in the spotlight for their national teams. We have that spotlight. I hope that Ceyhun Kazancı and whoever is leading the negotiations are hammering that home, are making it clear to him, look, we have a good track record with strikers. We have rehabilitated Mario Gomez for the German national team and Ryan Babel for the Dutch national team. Like, that is no small feat.
Yeah.
End of rant.
No, I mean, like I said, and I don't want to if we end up with Sorloth because Weghorst doesn't work out, I'll be fine. I'm fine with everything, and I think it's fine to say that that's the ideal move. I hope it works out. I hope it happens fast, and I think what's good about all of these options is I think they're all gonna want it to happen as quickly as possible as well, because they're gonna want to come in with run with their feet on the ground. I think Sorloth is a lot more Probably, keen on money. I think Sorloth clearly wants to capitalize on his one season. That's also one of the things that worries me, because for Sorloth, he made the big move to Germany. He that didn't work out. Then he moved to Spain. I mean, he's had a relatively okay season with Sociedad, not scoring a lot, but he's definitely been useful because of what he can bring. But it does worry me slightly that for him Turkey that's admitting defeat for him. I mean, obviously he'll still be playing for getting on the national team and stuff like that, but if he goes back to Turkey now, that's it. Sorloth's not gonna make a big move again after that. It's Turkey or bust for him, and he's going for the big contracts, and that kind of worries me a little bit. His main priority, he's 26 years old, but he's already at the stage in his career now where it's about getting the big contract, and that's the difference with Weghorst. Weghorst is not about money. He wants to
obviously
elevate himself.
Obviously Weghorst wants to get paid what he's worth, but for him the primary motivator is the national team getting to the World Cup, and just he's driven. I think he's a lot more driven than Sorloth.
He probably wants to play well enough to get another crack at. He probably wants an Anelka scenario, where he elevates himself back into the Premier League.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that worries me about Weghorst is, let's say we get him, and we get an option to buy. Option to buy does not mean that the player needs to agree with. He still needs to agree. But of course, we had the advantage with Rosier as well. Rosier didn't want to sign a permanent deal initially, but we had an option to buy it with him.
Maybe even
and
Gazelle,
he obviously grew to love the club. Yeah, no, of course. So if we have a good season, Weghorst might be like, this man playing in Turkey in front of these crazy fans in this club.
I want to do this in the Champions League.
I love it here.
Maybe.
So maybe. Right. I think with Mario Gomez, the issue was with Mario Gomez, apart from the coup. But I even think that if it wasn't for the coup, he wouldn't have stayed, because I think Mario Gomez was.
There was just a magical moment.
That was the nerd in school dating the prom queen.
Yeah, you don't get to do that.
Whereas
for too
now,
long.
I think Weghorst is much more on our level in terms of he's not so much out of our league as Mario Gomez was out of our league. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the difference between the German national side and the Dutch one, if you will.
I mean, look at Mario Gomez's career.
Yeah.
He was the man at Bayern for years.
Yeah. German national team, dude. Come on, man. That man was
he was Lewandowski before Lewandowski,
Yeah. Dude, but if you're featuring for the German national team in the World Cup and the Euro, you're not to be sneezed at. All right, man. I guess I might have to break this up into 2 episodes. Even maybe I'll
just put out a big one, bro.
Just dump it.
Put out a big one. Dump it.
But it was awesome to
I
have
don't know
you.
about you. I love long podcasts. I don't like a podcast that's only like 45 minutes or an hour because I want to be able to listen to it throughout the day. You know.
Yeah, I hear that.
But one more thing, Cenk. You know,
Oh yeah,
that's of
well,
course something
I was going to mention that. Yeah, I think it's a good insurance move, honestly. You know,
Well,
no matter what happens, it doesn't.
You know,
hurt.
for me, ideally we get Weghorst, which it's gonna be tough. But let's hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope we get him, not Fenerbahce. Fingers crossed for that. But if I was him, I would not go to Fenerbahce. But whatever. Yeah. So fingers crossed that we get Weghorst as our number one, and then we get Cenk as the insurance policy, so to speak. And then I really hope Semi Kılıçsoy gets an opportunity. He's only 16 years old, so obviously that's someone you want to ease in.
I wouldn't mind Thiago Çukur, except my fear is that because of that call-up, they've just added another like 2 million. You know what I mean? Like it's no longer just like a low-risk move because I bet it's going to be a little rich for our blood.
The thing with Thiago Çukur is I don't know him as a player, but if you look purely at his profile,
I'd take him over Guven, right?
Now I'm literally saying profile. Now I don't even mean the profile of the type of player he is because I have no clue.
You mean like his height?
But he is a tall motherfucker.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of Turkish strikers that are 1.90 m or bigger.
Yeah.
No,
for me, like if it's between him or Guven Yalçın as that third striker, I would take Thiago Çukur in a heartbeat because it's like over what you know what you're getting with Guven, and it's probably not good enough, and it's probably kind of he's shown very slow development, right? With Thiago Çukur, we don't know, and so it's better.
Guven has certain qualities, but I also think I could be completely wrong because obviously we had Burak Yilmaz and
I was going to say, what is that late bloomer?
And he exploded after he left us, but and maybe the same thing will happen to Guven. And for Turkish football, I kind of hope so. For us personally, I hope not because it would be a big regret.
Yeah,
but
or not. Maybe like I said, there's a chance.
The question you need to ask yourself is: do you see Guven is 23 years old now? So the question you need to ask yourself is, in 2 or 3 years' time, do you realistically see Guven Yalçın as being Beşiktaş's number one striker and being Beşiktaş's number one striker in a championship competitive environment? So not Beşiktaş completely drop off and play for 5th place, like Beşiktaş competing for the title with Guven Yalçın as their number one striker. Is that something you can see in the future?
No. I don't. You're hoping he's a late bloomer, and that's not very likely.
Either. And then you have to ask yourself the question: is he worth the money?
No.
And the answer is no.
Not 1.5.
You can't pay a guy 1.5 million if you don't foresee him ever becoming number one or a very good backup.
Not just
with
like
Cenk,
on the hope he becomes a late bloomer. That's not valuable.
With Cenk, it was justified. Cenk was the perfect backup to Mario Gomez, and then he was also a really good tandem with Abubakar. He was worth the money. He was worth that type of contract, and he showed that at Gaziantep before we signed him. Guven has not shown anything that makes me think that he's worth more than 1 million a year. And I think 1 million a year for him is already a lot. You need to keep in mind that he's on less than 400k right now.
Yeah.
Like doubling his wage is one thing.
And we're making
tripling or quadrupling
progress. We've cut a lot of salaries we don't need. We're making it like Romain Saiss. Saiss is an upgrade positionally and an upgrade financially. Right? We're doing the right things. No need to go back.
We don't need to go back. We don't need to have another Mustafa Bekdemek contract situation.
Oh god.
And that's what Guven. And that's what Guven is going to.
The Twins love that guy.
If you sign a 4-year deal with Guven and you give him 1.5 million a year, you're stuck with Guven until the end of that contract. Because nobody in Turkey is going to sign him from. The best case is going to be they loan him like they did with Lens, and they pay like cents on the dollar for his contract. That you're left paying 1 million of his 1.5 million a year. So don't do it. Don't fall down. Don't go down that rabbit hole again. It's the same like with the whole overpaying for guys like Abdul Karim. Like, don't do it.
And if you're not gonna take the risk on like John Bozdogan, why would you do it for Guven Yelchin, right? Like, I don't even mind it. Fine. Like, maybe he didn't earn that. Maybe they're asking for a little too much. You want to save that like $2 million or whatever it is, so you can get an even better striker. Fine. Whatever the logic is, fine. But just see that same logic through all the way.
Yeah.
Extend it to Guven Yelchin. Extend it out as far as you can.
With Cenk,
like you're saying with Abdul Karim, but it's actually like no. Like, let's just be savvy.
with Cenk, if he stays healthy, you know what you're getting. So he's worth investing a certain amount of money in.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Guven, he's just not worth that type of money. And then we have Semi coming up in the youth, he's a 16-year-old who's been playing the entire season for our under 19s. And he just got for the under 17.
He just won us the under 17.
Won us the under 17. In the final against Altinorde. With a fantastic goal. He scored a fantastic goal. And obviously, he's 16 years old. Like, he can in 2 or 3 years time he might be one of those guys we're talking about in the same light as we're talking about all those other players that have disappointed and blah blah blah blah blah. But there's a good, like, if you look at him, like, physically he looks great for his age. Like, he looks already like a mature 21, 22 year old. If you watch his games, technically,
I just had a thought.
Yeah,
I just had a thought. Sorry, a lot of those guys who like we thought might be good and didn't quite pan out. Like, I wonder how many of them would have benefited from having a guy like Valérien Ismail, who's actually like coming to watch them and very focused on like trying to find
that's
places for them.
Semi caught Ismail's eye the first match. The first match Ismail went to watch. He said, I don't remember exactly, I think Semi wears number 18, and he said number 18 is good. And that was Semi.
There you go.
And that's the thing. I really think that Semi is going to be in the training camp this summer. He's going to go with the team to Austria. And I have high hopes for, not necessarily that he's going to play a lot, but like, in the cup and maybe get some appearances, get to smell the first team. Because that's what he needs to do. At 16, 17 years old, you need to let these players smell the first team. In August...
like Emirhan, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Let them smell the first team.
Stick your toes
see how it goes. Dip their toes in the water and give them some opportunities. And then, the next year when they become 18 or something, then you get them more involved and gradually move them up. And that's how you develop players. But you need to give them the opportunities. That's why Ersin is the player he is today, because he got the opportunity at 18, 19 years old. Same thing with Ridvan. And same thing, and that's what...
Or Montero even, right? Like, going back
Montero was never our product, but,
I think considering where he was when we brought him in, where, like, we didn't even know if we wanted to extend his, like, +1 on the loan, to where we are now, where it's like, I honestly want to see him play over Wellington. I feel like he could really become a regular, but we'll see.
Oh, and did you guys mention that? I don't think you did, right? That Wellington was staying another year.
I did not, but I thought that was a given. Was that like a decision?
That's the decision that's come out this week.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So he had the same +1 as in
I don't know. I don't know if it's been made official or anything, but it was said by, I believe, Serjan Dikme that Wellington will be at Beşiktaş this season. So Wellington will be staying, and I think that makes sense in the 3-man back line. That we're keeping him. But yeah, so I want to keep seeing this from Beşiktaş in the coming years. I want to see young players get opportunities, and it's up to those kids if they can snatch the brass ring, so to speak. Ersin did it, Ridvan did it, Serdar sort of did it, Emirhan is doing it. Let's hope Semi's gonna do it. Let's hope Aftandil's going to do it.
Maybe Kartal Kayra, he's come in with a lot of momentum.
Kartal Kayra, let's hope he does. Exactly, like, there's a lot of young players in our academy or that we've had loaned out, like Kartal, that are going to be getting opportunities this season and the next season and the next season. What position was Berkay Vardar, right? We played him as a central defender because we needed to, remember? But I think he's actually naturally maybe a defensive back
midfielder
or something, but I'm not sure.
Like, it would be great if he could be someone who could be sort of brought up under Joseph's wing as the next. If that's his role, I honestly don't remember. But whatever.
Well, there's a guy I really would like to replace Joseph, but his price tag is already 9 million. So.
Did you about Orkun?
No, Vinicius Souza. He plays in Belgium. He's technically property of the City Group, but he plays for Lommel in the second division. But he was on loan at KV Mechelen this past season. And Club Brugge is looking at him. Genk is looking at him. Supposedly Fenerbahce are looking at him. Like I said it last season in our WhatsApp group. I said, hey, this is the guy I would like us to replace Josef with. It's like it's a Fenerbahce spy in our group chat or something. Because like the other day I saw that they're interested in him, and I really hope they don't get him. Because
that's Aurelian. If there's a Fenerbahce spy, it has to be Aurelian. There's no way it's not.
Yeah, so that Vinicius Souza guy is really good, but I mean, obviously 9 million is a little bit above what we can afford. But Ali Koch can afford it, so maybe he gets him. I hope not, because I think it would be. He is 20 or something, or 21. Incredibly talented defensive midfielder.
We don't need Fener getting that. No thanks.
No, we don't. Dude, we don't need to get actually good players, like players that make sense. Not 32-year-old has-beens or 35-year-old Jose Sosas and stuff like that. They can keep signing old guys. Let them keep some old guys.
Yeah. Maybe they can bring Ozil back, supposedly, right?
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
Fingers crossed.
Let's try it again. Run it back. All right, it was great to have you on, Con. You got to go talk to Mark Vilmo. Is that a secret? Should I know?
In 2 hours, I have an interview scheduled with Mark Wilmots, the former captain of the Belgian national team at the 2002 World Cup, and also, of course, the coach that led Belgium to the 2014 World Cup. For the first time in 12 years, Belgium was at a major tournament again, and that was thanks to Mark Wilmots.
If you can, get him to say, hi, this is Mark Wilmots, and you're listening to the Black Eagles podcast. Let's start accruing. Okay, he has nothing to do with the club, but why not?
It's the first time I'm ever going to be talking to him in person. We'll see. I'll try to build up a relationship with him. Hopefully he doesn't nope out on the interview, but it's scheduled for 1, because he's currently in Morocco. He was coaching Raja Casablanca until February, and he got fired in February, but apparently he's still in Morocco, and I heard from a Moroccan colleague that he's apparently staying there until at the end of the school year, because his 2 daughters are going to school there or something. So so he'll probably be returning to Belgium afterwards, but he's
hashtag girl dad.
He's been on some adventures recently, because he was coaching Iran for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Then of course Raja Casablanca now, and then he was where did he? He's been an interesting coaching career ever since Belgium, at least the Belgium national team. But I'll be talking to him about, in particular, the 2002 World Cup as an assignment for one of the biggest magazines in Japan. They wanted an interview with him because they were, of course, in the opening match in the same group with Japan. They played against Japan. And he scored one of the goals of the tournament in that match as well. So, looking forward to that. It'll be the first time talking to Mac Wilmots for me, and definitely a player that he was an amazing player, man. He was a Weghorst type. Like, not necessarily, because Wilmots was a different profile striker. He played both as a striker or as a 10, and he could also play on the wing. But like, he was an attacker that could play in any real position. But he was really originally a striker, but he was not like a tower like Weghorst. But his nickname in Germany was Das Kampfschwein, which literally translates to the war pig. Because he was known for just going to fucking war, and that's what Weghorst does as well. Like, he's also that type of player. The War Pig, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's Kampfschwein. Sounds better in German. But
It's like it reminds me of something like from the Castle of Grayskull, you know, the War Pig.
You know what you should do? Just go on YouTube and just look at
War Pig.
look up his goals at the 2002 FIFA World Cup. It's crazy. He's also to this date Belgium's all-time top scorer in the World Cup. Nobody has scored more World Cup goals than Mark Wilmots for Belgium.
That was my favorite World Cup of all time. I mean, obviously, as Turks, we all enjoyed it.
Obviously, yeah. And you know what? He should have had one more because he scored a header against Brazil that got disallowed, and it should never have gotten disallowed. It should have always.
Bring that up. You got to talk about that.
That was, of course, that's one of the big talking points of that world. Still, 20 years later to this day, it's a 20-year anniversary of the 2002 FIFA World Cup, and that's why I'm doing this interview. But of course, it's one of the big moments in Belgium football history in the last 20 years because it's still getting talked about constantly. Pieter Pendergast was the Costa Rican referee who screwed the Belgians. Brazil ended up winning that World Cup.
Oh, I remember that.
It was 0-0 at the time. Wilmot scored in the 35th minute. It would have been 1-0 to Belgium. And and if you look back, go look at the summary of the game. Brazil definitely had their fair share of chances, but Belgium could have won that game. They really could have.
Brazil really got lucky because remember the Rivaldo against us? Like they pulled some stunts to get this one.
In my opinion, Belgium and Turkey were the only two teams that truly challenged the Brazilians. But Belgium was the one that got closest because they had that goal disallowed. If it wasn't for that goal getting disallowed, who knows what would have happened? Turkey might have become world champions because then we wouldn't have faced Brazil in the semifinals. We might have faced Belgium, might have beaten Belgium, and then we might have gone on to the finals and played Germany. And who knows? I think that Turkey team would have been capable of being competitive.
A lot of them were German born, so they would have had that extra desire too.
If you remember, the man of the tournament for Germany that season, besides Michael Ballack, was Oliver Kahn. And Michael Ballack was suspended for the final against Brazil, and Oliver Kahn made a terrible howler. So, Turkey versus Germany in the final without Michael Ballack, who knows? Who knows? But we'll never know. But definitely we'll be talking to him about that. So I'm very excited about it. I hope nothing comes up. You never know. I've tried not to. Of course, I told you guys, told my friends, but I haven't
jinx it.
Publicly told anyone. No, of course, I've done that before. I've had stuff lined up with people and said, this is coming up, and then it ends up not happening, and then you're kind of left holding the piñata or whatever, But that's why I try not to celebrate too quickly. I had an interview lined up recently with another man that was big in the 2002 FIFA World Cup. But
he who shall not be named.
He who shall not be named had a very steep financial demands. Let's say it that way. Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, never meet your heroes, they say. But Mark Wilmots has been extremely accommodating and friendly. I'm really looking forward to talking to him. And so I'll be recording the interview. It's not the intention that I publish it, and it'll be in Dutch. But who knows? I'll ask his permission afterward. I'll be recording the interview mainly I can, obviously write it out, and so I don't need to be writing while he's talking because that's annoying. I can just record it and then listen to it back again. But also, for me personally, it's definitely a career highlight to be able to talk to someone like that.
No, I mean, good luck, man, and I hope you'll come back and join us again soon.
It's getting closer and closer. In a couple of months, the house will be finished, and once the house is finished,
groundbreaking ceremony. We'll have to have the mic set up. Well, follow this guy on Twitter at Razarian, at RAZZERIAN. Follow us, the podcast, at Eagles_podcast. Follow myself at Sir_Rights_a lot. Follow us on Instagram, Black Eagles Podcast. One word. As always, let's go Beşiktaş! We got it. The summer. This is. I mean, you don't even want to get too excited about a transfer window because, like, I feel like we aced it last time around.
Yeah.
No friends.
You're trying to figure out my recording software prompted me to start recording.
Beşiktaş International hopes you enjoyed this program.